Hello, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts. And we are here with another Love Your Liver live stream, number 252. I believe, yes, this is, so if we do 52 times 4 is 208. 52 minus 8 is, I'm sorry, that's 252 minus 208 would be, is that 46? Yeah. So yeah, we're over the 4.5-year mark and we're coming up on the 5 years straight without missing a week. Today we're gonna go over some interesting nickel research that I have. I'm out of town. I'm in a hotel that has crappy Wi-Fi, so I'm doing it from my mobile hotspot. So if we drop anything, then that's the reason. For those of you who might have come because of the terrain theory stuff that I was saying might happen this week, just to let you know early, that's not going to happen this week. I did not have the time to prepare. I'm not in a hotel room with crappy Wi-Fi for no reason. So anyway, yeah, so I wanted to also add at the start here, for those of you who have been having, let's say you're doing the low nickel diet and you were feeling like you were doing pretty good, and things kind of hit the fan this week. Do I know what it was? No, but it definitely happened for a lot of people. So if you felt particularly off this week, there was a reason. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a whole lot of space weather. There was some Schumann, but there's other stuff out there that we don't know about, I'm sure of. So let's get into the testimonial first. Let me share my screen. Joe's going to put this link in the chat. Let me do view full screen. Oh, get out of here. Okay. This is a pretty short one. Gallbladder. And this was sent to me by Wardy. Here we go. I've been giving ear to Wardy's mentions of Dr. Smith for quite some time, but shrugging it off for the most part. Occasionally, I would listen to an interview of Dr. Smith's, but always with great reservation. Within 3 days of listening to one of Dr. Smith's interviews by a gentleman whose name I cannot recall and beginning to greatly limit my vitamin A intake, my severe RLS, as in restless leg syndrome that prevented sleep, vanished. Well, until I decided to take liposomal vitamin C for my cold. 3 nights of nasty RLS again. I couldn't imagine there would be a correlation, but in God's amazing grace to me, he led me to Megan's site, where there was a brief mention of don't use vitamin C as it can inhibit the liver's ability to detox. So no vitamin C that day, and I was back to RLS relief that night. What a gracious God to give me the info when I needed it. Another win. I thought I had a bum gallbladder for 18 years now. I've tried many a flush. We have a whole episode on the liver flush. Juicing protocols, coffee enemas, castor oil packs, supplements, and more over the years. Some things helped some. The 14-day carrot juice fast made things slightly worse. And she put, And year after year, my situation became more dire. I made a number of ER visits only to be told my gallbladder was fine and was sent home without any insights, CAT scans, ultrasounds, doctor and surgeon visits, and finally gave in to having a HIDA scan, which afterwards I was told everything looked stellar as far as my gallbladder, with the rolling eyes emoji. Well, I wasn't expecting much help from my gallbladder when I embarked on the low vitamin A diet, at least the little I knew about it at the time, but I was pleasantly surprised as the pain lessened day by day. I'm certainly not pain-free, but I'm far from those critical points that took me to the ER so many times. That's a win and a praise to God, yes. Oh, praise God for doing all these things that we are working on. So there is that testimonial. Restless leg syndrome and gallbladder improvements. So yeah, we're not really messing around here, and people can doubt us for as long as they choose to suffer, and then when they choose to believe it and do it, then that's when they can start getting some relief. So what else was I going to do? We're going to do the live chat Q&A. Oh, I was going to go over some other things. Well, I'll save that one for a little later. Oh, Beth, hi, Beth. Beth said she was wondering if there's a stream today. So if there's ever a live stream announced, then yeah, there's definitely a stream. So if you're in the live chat, then there's a stream coming, unless something really weird happened. So getting the Wi-Fi set up here was interesting, to say the least. Okay, so let's get into some other stuff I have about nickel. Interesting stuff that I found. Well, you know how all the carnivore guys love to talk about plant defenses and plant anti-nutrients. I have two papers from these guys. This first one, this is the first, I believe the first one they did in '94. The ecological significance of nickel hyperaccumulation, a plant chemical defense. Let's keep going. Nickel hyperaccumulating plants have more than 1,000, well, they could have more. They have more than 1,000 milligrams nickel per kilogram dry weight. So that's 1 gram per kilogram when grown on nickel-bearing soils. We hypothesized that nickel hyperaccumulation could serve as a chemical defense against herbivores in feeding experiments with potential insect herbivores and nickel hyperaccumulating plants. I want you to pay attention to this part. Only those insects fed leaves from plants grown on non-nickel bearing soil survived or showed a weight gain. Among chemical parameters measured, only nickel content of plants was sufficient to explain this result. Now, on this note, I want you to remember that there's plenty of research connecting nickel toxicity with weight gain in humans. And I've mentioned before that what we tend to see in animals is the undertype, the lack of weight gain. I'm not saying you undertype people are animals. I'm saying that we have mechanisms for both. And here we have only the insects without nickel-bearing soil, so only the low nickel hyperaccumulating plants showed a weight gain or even lived. So, again, we have evidence for the over and undertype in the research. It's just the undertype in the research shows up more in studies of animals, and the overtype, the overweight, shows up more in studies of humans. And that, do I know why that is? No, it just is. So here we go. Nickel hyperaccumulation may be an effective plant chemical defense against herbivores because of its high lethality, apparent low cost, and broad spectrum of toxicity. Now let's just put our thinking caps on here, and let's say there was an effort to reduce the people in the world. What if they had something that was high lethality, low cost, and a broad spectrum of toxicity that no one was talking about? Sounds like it would fit their goals, wouldn't it? Oh, and what are they trying to turn people into? Plant-based diets. Wow. So strange. Now, let's go to these guys' next study. So this was 2002. The defensive role of nickel hyperaccumulation by plants, a field experiment. Hyperaccumulation of nickel by plants is hypothesized to function as an elemental defense against herbivores and pathogens. Laboratory experiments have documented toxic effects to herbivores consuming high nickel plant tissues, but this paper reports the first experiment to examine the defensive effectiveness of nickel hyperaccumulation under field conditions. The experiment was conducted at an ultramafic soil site naturally inhabited by the nickel hyperaccumulator Streptanthus polygloides. I want you to pay, this is cruciferous plants, folks. Broccoli is absolutely a nickel hyperaccumulator. The other cruciferous plants also tend to be nickel hyperaccumulators, just to different extents. The brassica, this is the brassica for short, or cruciferous vegetables. Experimental treatments examine the response of herbivores to hyperaccumulated nickel using exclosure and insecticide treatments to divide herbivores into groups based primarily upon herbivore size. So they looked at big and small herbivores. Initial surveys showed greater amounts of insect damage to plants with low tissue nickel levels. So the insects could tell the difference between the plants that were higher nickel and lower nickel, and they ate the low nickel more, confirming the defensive effect of nickel against some insect herbivores. But large herbivores, probably vertebrates, I don't know, like that could theoretically include humans, later consumed entire plants regardless of plant nickel status, like people eating broccoli. We concluded that nickel was not an effective defense against these large herbivores, probably because their diets mix high nickel S. polygaloides foliage with that of associated non-hyperaccumulating species. So when you eat low nickel foods, you are balancing out in a certain way. You're making the high nickel foods less toxic. That doesn't mean you get to avoid the toxicity, though. We suggest that such dietary dilution is one mechanism whereby some herbivores can circumvent elemental plant defenses. Elemental being foundational here. So they're saying nickel is a foundational plant defense, particularly against bugs. Okay. Oh, let me get those links for you, Joe. I saw your comments. Here, I'll put these in the chat. Oh, I know. Broccoli. Yeah, Beth was saying good thing she gorged on broccoli her whole life. Why is this not posting? There it goes. Sorry. Oh, it took a second. Okay. Joe, now you got the link, Joe. Okay. How? Oh my goodness, Joe, I'm going to send you these links over Telegram. So, because it's not posting into the chat very easily for me. I don't know why. Okay, so now I wanted to go into how they know that nickel is toxic to you. I don't think I went over this. I think I was looking for this in one of the other episodes. But this is the Proposition 65 warnings from California, like when you see those things on your supplement bottles or on your foods. Science for a Healthy California. Do they really care about you? Why am I being warned about potential exposure to nickel and nickel compounds? Nickel and nickel compounds are on the Prop 65 list for cancer. Exposure to nickel or nickel compounds can cause cancer of the nasal cavity, paranasal sinus, and lungs. Certain nickel compounds, specifically soluble nickel compounds and nickel carbonyl, are also on the Prop 65 list for reproductive toxicity. During pregnancy, exposure to soluble nickel compounds or nickel carbonyl may affect the baby's development. Exposure to soluble nickel compounds may also harm the male reproductive system. Wow. California's Prop 65 requires businesses to warn people before exposing them to a significant amount of a chemical listed under Prop 65 for cancer or reproductive toxicity. Why aren't people being warned about nickel very much? We got reproductive toxicity, so that's toxicity to the mother and the baby. We've got male reproductive toxicity, so that's toxicity to mainly the testicles and sperm is what they care about. And then we have it's cancerous. And we're not talking about it very much, are we? Okay. Actually, so it says here, normal handling of coins does not expose you to significant amounts of nickel or nickel compounds. Well, here's a funny thing. We were cleaning out an old car, and in the side doors, we found a bunch of, Joe, GLASP is not working on this page, so let me get you the link. GLASP doesn't work on the PDFs. So there's the actual direct link. Okay, so we're back to it. Normal handling of coins doesn't expose you to nickel compounds. Okay, so we had we were cleaning out an old car, and there was a bunch of change in the door. And I don't know what had gotten in the door, but there was, if you've ever seen like places where coins have sat around, or maybe where, like, let's say a little bit of soda was spilled on coins and it turns green. That's not likely the copper from the pennies. That is nickel turns green. So the coins are literally leaching out nickel. Okay, and you can tell by their color that they've got quite a bit of nickel in them. But how can you be exposed to these things? Oh yeah, NiCad batteries, unless those break open, you're not being exposed to that. Okay, so you can be exposed by inhaling nickel or nickel compounds or by inhaling particles that contain them. You can also be exposed by swallowing dust that contains nickel or nickel compounds. Okay, so they know how toxic this is, right? Tobacco and cannabis can be contaminated with nickel and other toxic metals that are present in the air, soil, and water that they're grown. Smoking tobacco or cannabis or inhaling secondhand tobacco smoke or cannabis smoke can expose you to significant amounts of nickel or nickel compounds. These plants are hyperaccumulators. Tobacco and cannabis and hemp, whatever you want to call it, that makes you feel better about it, they hyperaccumulate nickel. And they know that you are inhaling it. And wait until I get into the studies showing nicotine makes nickel worse, and people are out there gargling up what Dr. Artist says about nicotine being good for you. Okay? This is all a grand plan, a grand evil plan. The nicotine push. I bet there's some way that methylene blue interacts with nickel. This is planned, folks. The foods they push on you, allowing, the forbidden fruit cannabis to become legalized all of a sudden, pushing all the hallucinogens. This is all a plan. So nickel and nickel compounds, dust and fumes from metal production and processing, and from nickel refineries. So if you live in, even if you don't know if you live in areas close to these, you will be breathing them in. And they specifically say here, during pregnancy, nickel and nickel compounds can pass from mother to baby through the fetus, or through the placenta, and it definitely comes out in breast milk. So this is the way California says you're exposed to nickel or nickel compounds. Breathing air, inhaling tobacco or cannabis smoke, swallowing nickel or nickel compounds transferred from the hands to the mouth from dust. They don't mention foods, which is the biggest source, but they're not really into foods. They're into these other things. So they're saying to not smoke, but yet it's all legal. And when have you ever heard about a nickel warning on cigarettes or cannabis? Okay, so Prop 65 has plenty of stuff on nickel, but they're just not telling anybody. This is how you should know. They know it's toxic, and they're just not telling you. Or they'll say, oh, well, it's tobacco smoke. Well, it's not that you're not ingesting the tobacco, you're burning it, so it's not going to count, or something like that. I don't know what they're doing. So let's get into some other stuff that they've made popular and legalized. Heating oil corrosion by e-liquid containing nicotine lactate salt, and in vitro and in vivo evaluation of nickel leachate, nickel leaching into e-liquid and e-cigarette aerosol. They know that this is happening. Let me get this for Joe. There we go. Now, I didn't highlight this one, but we'll just basically go to the end. In vivo inhalation using these mice demonstrated significant nickel accumulation in mice exposed to the aerosol produced from nicotine lactate salt, particularly in the liver. The corrosion of heating coils of nicotine lactate salt e-liquid was attributed to combined electrochemical and acidic corrosion mechanisms. They're not going to stop anybody from getting their vapes. Wait until you see how nicotine makes nickel worse. So we've still got the nicotine here, right? We've got the nicotine and we've got the nickel coming in together. We know that tobacco brings in nicotine and nickel together. So let's do this one. Let me get this for Joe. Cigarette smoking and nickel exposure. The tobacco plant contains nickel and several other toxic metals, most probably absorbed from the soil, fertilizing products, or from pesticides. Gosh. You know what I've heard about legalized cannabis is that the amount of stuff they're putting on legalized cannabis in terms of toxic pesticides and additives and all this stuff that they're spraying on this stuff is you don't want to touch it. But the fertilizers, the phosphate fertilizers, they're full of nickel because they come from nickel is in the ground with the phosphates. There's nickel in the soil already, and then pesticides are bringing them in too. It has been stated that nickel in a burning cigarette might form the volatile gaseous compound nicotetracarbonyl and thereby be introduced into the respiratory tract. Accordingly, the main objective of the present study was to find out if nickel content on inhaled smokes from inhaled smoke from ordinary cigarettes and nickel-contaminated cigarettes handmade by nickel process workers. So I guess there's a nickel process cigarette? Is that what I'm reading? I don't know enough about it. Might be a supplementary source of nickel exposure to cigarette smoking process workers, leading to additional risk of occupational respiratory cancer in these workers. So they were in Norway. I want you to pay attention here, though. The nickel concentrations in blood, plasma, and urine were quite similar among smokers and non-smokers. 6.2 and 48.1 in smokers and 6.4 and 50.5 in non-smokers, respectively. This is why I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time. If you guys want to do blood and urine nickel tests, that's fine. But they're literally showing that even when smokers are being exposed to significantly more nickel, it's not showing up in their blood and plasma. Or, I'm sorry, blood, plasma, or urine. Sorry, it's not showing up in their blood or their urine. Where is it going if it's not in the blood or the urine? It's getting stored. You just saw that last paper where I was talking about it went to the liver. Kelsey and I and Joe, thanks to Joe's help too, we are accumulating the research on how badly nickel inhibits detox. So nickel inhibits detox all by itself through multiple avenues. It specifically inhibits vitamin A detox multiple places. And so everybody's wondering, why is the nickel dumping and detox so harsh from this process? Because literally, as we are figuring out, folks, by getting the nickel out of your diet, you are taking the parking brake or the emergency brake off of your detox systems, and your detox systems start running full bore. Nickel inhibits detox massively. And that is why it takes 2 to 4 days for the symptoms to show up when you take out enough nickel from your diet. And it's also why it's probably a good idea to go through it stepwise, taking one thing out at a time and waiting for that to, if you go back an episode or two, taking one thing out at a time and watching for things to calm down before you take out the next thing. If you want a gradual and easy route, if you just want to, yank the cord and go full bore, it's rough. You can do it, but your, detox the nickel detox is rough. And it's not necessarily a month of hard detox feels like forever. So, continuing, we recovered 1.1% or even less of nickel in the mainstream smoke after smoking the entire cigarettes without leaving any butt. Most of the tobacco nickel was recovered in the ash. We concluded that the inhaled nickel in the working atmosphere is probably the main source of nickel exposure to the respiratory tract in these workers. Pay attention. It remains to be determined why cigarette smoking still seems to be the decisive cofactor in the development of respiratory tract cancer in nickel workers. What is in cigarettes and nickel workers? Can you say nicotine and nickel? Okay, let's keep going. I bet Artist doesn't share this research with people. Oh, toxicity memory. Nickel-induced transcriptional memory in lung epithelial cells promotes interferon signaling upon nicotine re-exposure. Wait, nicotine and nickel have special interactions? Wow. Weird. Here you go, Joe. Exposure to nickel, an environmental respiratory toxicant, is associated with lung diseases, including asthma, pulmonary fibrosis, bronchitis, and cancers. Our previous studies have shown that a majority of the nickel-induced transcriptional changes are persistent and do not reverse even after the termination of exposure. This suggested transcriptional memory where the cell remembers past nickel exposure. Gosh, that must be something pretty nasty if the immune system is trying to remember it. And the genetics are trying to remember it. Nicotine, an addictive compound in tobacco, is associated with the development of chronic lung diseases, including COPD and pulmonary fibrosis. Our results show that nicotine exposure upregulated a subset of genes only in the cells previously exposed to nickel. Therefore, our results suggest that nicotine exposure of lung cells that retain the transcriptional memory of previous nickel exposure could result in increased susceptibility to developing chronic inflammatory lung diseases. Now, so they're thinking that, like, right, if people stop smoking, if they stop smoking and then they're not including the nickel that people are eating here. Does that make sense? So they're thinking that all the nickel, just if you're not taking it in, well, the problems, they're saying the problem doesn't go away. The problem doesn't go away because people are still eating far too much nickel that is keeping the problem in their system. Do you remember from my hair test where when I was not on the low nickel diet, my hair nickel was relatively a lot lower. And then all of a sudden, when I took out the nickel, all of a sudden it all came out. So do you understand why you're not seeing it in the blood or the urine necessarily, but we see it in the hair? It's just coming out certain routes. It is coming out, but it doesn't come out until you take it out enough, or you take it out piece by piece. So then you start reducing the amount of nickel coming in, and then your body starts saying, okay, we can start moving this out. This is really important. This is why they could say that they don't see any changes in the genetics, but there's still nickel in there. Okay. Let's keep going. The accumulation of nickel in human lungs. This is the nickel cough, folks. Those of you who have had a cough, either from eating too many nickel foods, like the high soluble fiber foods we used to love so much, like with the oats and the barley and the beans and all that stuff. And you may have developed a cough, or you felt like you got colds that were just a cough, or you started the low nickel diet and you got a cough. This cough is literally nickel coming out of your lungs and causing you a cough. It's an irritant on its way out. Using data from published studies, lung concentrations of nickel were compared for persons with and without occupational exposure to nickel. As expected, the concentrations were much higher for persons with occupational exposure. So they must be doing like biopsies. To estimate the effects of nickel-containing tobacco smoke and nickel in the ambient air on the amount of nickel accumulated in the lungs over time, a model was derived that took into account various variables related to the deposition of nickel in lungs. The model predicted nickel concentrations that were in the range of those of persons without known nickel exposure. They're saying their model said that like everybody's lung tissue was going to be the same. Their model said that. Nickel is a suspected carcinogen. Well, we know it's a carcinogen. It has been associated with an increased risk of respiratory tract cancer among nickel workers. Hold on one sec. Sorry. Okay. So we got that. Now now that's what I have so far for the research I had. Oh, Vedant made a comment. Nickel cough is eerily similar to what I got when I used to vape during my dumber college days. Great observation, Vedant. Yeah, it's oh man. Yeah, no, great observation. This is where oh, and another one. JH422, the onset or diagnosis of sarcoidosis often appears following smoking cessation. So when you stop intoxing, you start detoxing, and it can cause damage along the way, but it will fix itself, hopefully. That's what we're trying to do. So this is let's see. Archon of J-Day says there's copper pots and stainless steel has nickel in it. Yeah, except for that one business that makes cookware. I want to buy a set of their cookware. Got a link for that. Joe, if you have that Home Chef link, it's not an affiliate link, folks. It's on Amazon. It's Home Chef, HOMICHEF. You can find it on Amazon. Yeah, easy to find on Amazon. I'm wondering if I should just hit the let me see. Let me take a look at my Telegram and see if I have anything else interesting on oh wait, who did this? Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Oh yeah, the let me see. Oh. Well, let me open this. Let me find the quote. Okay, here, let me share my screen, Joe, and then we'll go to this one. Okay. Joe, let me get you the link. Oh, this is going to be a lot of clicking back and forth since I don't have my two screens doing this. It's not like my normal thing. Nickel bioaccumulation. Bioaccumulation, gosh. One might call that storage. Physiobiochemical responses, phytotoxicity, and its mitigation strategies in plants. So plants can use it as a pesticide and a chemical warfare agent, but it also causes them problems. But I wanted to hit on this one line in here. Human activities such as metal smelting, mineral extraction, sewage. Gosh, there's no sewage anywhere, is there? Phosphate fertilizers, pesticides, coal and oil ignition, or burning coal and oil is what they mean, all contribute to raised nickel levels in certain areas. Pretty much, if you're living in a decently populated area, there's going to be one or more of these. Oh, here, let's keep going. Ahmad et al. Found that human activities, mining, paint industry, electroplating, industrial effluents, so industrial waste, and landfills. Gosh, there's no landfills anywhere, are there? Are significant contributors to nickel contamination. Other potential sources of nickel include wiring, plumbing fittings, batteries, dishware, and clothing. Clothing's an interesting one. I'm sorry. Kelsey is off getting herself a new kitten right now. So she's sending me messages about that. She's very excited. Okay, let's go. Let me find another thing. So let me find the next thing. Oh, yes. Let's go to this one. Brewed Robusta coffee increases nickel ion release from dental alloys, an in vitro study. I wanted to go over this not because a lot of us have braces. Like usually people who are drinking coffee don't have braces anymore. But I want you to pay attention. So they did artificial saliva. What did they do? They mixed distilled water or artificial saliva or Robusta coffee or a mixture of artificial saliva and Robusta coffee, right? Conclusions. The concentration of nickel increased in the saliva of low pH due to brewed coffee. Though the release of these ions is still within the tolerable amount in human body, it should be realized that it usually lasts for months or years. Dentists should be cautious when using instructions for patients with a history of allergies, especially for dietary with low acidity. Okay, so let me translate that because these guys are not English as their first language. The thing I wanted to point this out to you folks is that, like, think of, let's say you're still drinking coffee or other acidic drinks, and you're getting it from, I don't know, let's say Starbucks or your local coffee shop or whatever. What I'm saying here is if they're showing that the coffee leaches nickel from stainless steel. So if you are drinking coffee that has sat in stainless steel that you know about or you don't, especially like something that sits around like, oh, I don't know, nitro cold brew or other cold brew or stuff that is literally sitting in a stainless steel pot. Yes, the cold makes it less leaching. However, the acidity is still leaching. So this is important. Hold on, let me turn off my my ringer on my phone. There we go. Okay. So that's all I wanted to mainly point this out in terms of coffee. I mean, of course, when do orthodontists ever tell kids don't eat acidic things with your braces because you'll literally leach? They don't tell kids not to eat hot things. They don't tell kids not to eat acidic things. Orthodontics is a lot like most of dentistry where they really don't have any idea of what they're doing in the body, whether they're changing your structure. If you haven't seen the Revive Mouthguard episodes I did with Ken, they're changing the structure of the skull, which affects the entire body. They're poisoning them with nickel, and they don't even tell, oh, don't eat sugar and brush your teeth after every meal. Like that's the extent of the advice these folks are giving kids. They don't, not that the kids would necessarily follow it, but at least they could give the advice to the parents, say, don't eat acidic things, and really hot things are going to leach nickel too, so don't do that. It's almost like they don't care. So, let's see. Thought we'd hit this one. The mechanism of malignant tumor induction by nickel subsulfide. Right? Everybody's worried about, cancer is bad, but malignant cancer is bad, as worse. They can literally induce malignancies. Are we starting to realize that they've known the cure to cancer for a very long time? Let's see. The long latent period, that means that the time between when the nickel was put in them and the time that the problem showed up. The evidence of cell degeneration, necrosis, tissue death, foreign material, probably of nickel composition, cell invasion, and subsequent later rapid myofibroblast type cell development proliferating or reproducing a bunch to malignant tumors, highly suggestive of malignant fibrous histiocytoma, seem to suggest an epigenetic form of carcinogenicity of toxic to the cells, cytotoxic variety. Simple definition, it's really bad. It's really bad. Malignant tumor induction. Joe, did I give you that link yet? I don't think I did. Here we go. There we go. So let's go. Let's see if we can find one more, and then I'll go to questions, I think. Well, while we're on that topic, here's a fun title. Nickel-induced malignant tumors. A series of malignant tumors experimentally induced by implanting nickel 3s2 and gelatin capsules into the right hind limb of Fisher 344 rats is described. Here's a fun term: large, bizarre, multinucleate giant cells with granular cytoplasm. Bizarre means they haven't seen it before. It's that bad and that weird. The appearances of the experimentally produced tumor are compared with certain tumors found in humans and also in experimentally induced tumors by Maruyama et al. Designated as malignant fibrous histiocytoma. They find these tumors in humans as well. Oh, don't forget, breast cancers had higher nickel in them than normal breasts. So let's see. Did I go over, Joe, do you remember me going over the nickel content of breast milk? I think we may, yeah, I think we're going to go to the Q&A. Let's go to Q&A. Okay. Joe, you can take that off the screen if you want. Okay, so I'm starting at the top, and hopefully this will, oh, yeah, so let me go back up to the top here. Okay. So let's see. I'm heading down from the top. What do we have here? Archon of J Day says, you met me at an interesting time. What movie is that from? I feel like that's from a movie. Oh, wow. Okay. So Beth was saying, I was just wondering about the flea beetles that eat our crucifers voraciously. They are metallic looking. I'm assuming that means kind of like shiny and metallic. They're cleaning up the nickel garbage. I don't know. Is that how you spell it, Beth? FLEE? Let me see. Oh, flea beetles, FLEA. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anything connecting them with nickel. But there was something in one of the papers where there was, let me see if I can find it. Okay, yeah, here, let's go back to this. Joe, show this again. Oh, no. That was, I'm sorry. This is not what I misread it. This was the other part. When subjected to herbivory by lepidopteran larvae, plants grown on nickel-amended soil showed greater survival and yield than plants on unamended soil. So they fed in the plants, they put nickel in the soil, and these plants survived better and had a better yield overall. The amount of plant that was left than the plants on unamended soil. So the nickel did its job in defending them from these larvae. That's what they were saying. I thought it was somehow showing that that the nickel helped a certain species, but no, that's not what I saw. Sorry about that. Okay. Marcon of JD says, so we make orichalcum. Wait. Why'd that go away? Joe, what are you doing? So we make orichalcum out of pennies and recall the nickel as well. Tell RFK Jr. and the Surgeon General and U.S. Mint. I don't think they really care about our health. I just got to say. Okay. Michael H. says a recommended site for the three-letter supplement that we shall not name sells citric acid to mix its precursor with. Given the way they manufacture citric acid, is there an alternative you would use? Well, you're gonna. I mean, there's hydrochloric acid. Some places literally sell it's much more dilute than the citric acid because it's a stronger acid, and Kelsey has mentioned using nicotinic acid before, and some people have experimented with malic acid. Do I know the proportions on these? No, I don't. You're going to have to do some AI research or something like that, and I'm taking no responsibility for whatever you find in your adventures. But there is diluted hydrochloric acid sold out there. Some people use the, what do they call it? Part 1, and they just take it orally and in water, and then they let their stomach acid do the work, which is hydrochloric acid. So that's what I got for you. Okay. Hello, Casey. No, Vedant asked, dumb question, is psyllium husk low nickel? I've realized I've been taking it daily on my low nickel diet. If it is an offender, then deleting that would lead to pretty strong symptoms, I presume. I'm putting it this way. It's psyllium seed. I am personally not eating seeds during the strict phase. I'm beginning to wonder if some plants use soluble fiber as a defense against excessive nickel in the soil. Just like you just saw that the body of animals in these studies, when they put too much nickel in them, will make tumors and cancers and malignant tumors and cancers to put them in other parts of the body. So why can't plants make storage areas for toxins themselves if they're exposed to toxins? Right? So I'm not saying that fiber's bad per se. I'm saying that, you know, plants have defense mechanisms to survive too. I am not messing with any seeds or nuts on this plant. And most psyllium husk seed, whatever, is grown in India, and there has been lead concerns about it. And I'm not messing with psyllium. I'm probably just not messing with it anymore. I don't see any reason to when you can get organic apple pectin on Amazon for cheap. Or, as we'll talk about in a second, the potential for sodium alginate. Definitely not a dumb question. So I'm not messing with it. That's one of those things. That's where I say, like, I am going by if the generalities of high nickel foods, the biggest generalities that we can make. Whole grains, and this has been in studies since the 1960s. Whole grains, beans or legumes, nuts, seeds, chocolate. Those are the ones that have been said over and over in the oldest research are the highest nickel foods. So I'm not going to be doing psyllium seed during this process. That's what I got. Remember, if you've been doing it, Vedant, and let's say you've been having some detox symptoms already, I know you have. You may want to wait until your current detox symptoms calm down before you take that out, because you may have a whole nother level of them show up, another level of symptoms show up. Okay. Okay, just Andy. So we'll get into the sodium alginate now. Been experimenting with sodium alginate slime body wash to remove nickel. Call me crazy. We're all kind of crazy here, aren't we? Okay, sodium alginate. Let's go over this, folks. It is the extracted polysaccharide from seaweed, probably mainly kelp, because that's the cheapest one they get. It is, somewhat purified. It is purified. That's why it doesn't have a whole lot of color. Pectaclear has modified sodium alginate or modified alginate in it. It doesn't say sodium alginate, it says modified alginate. Now they're breaking down the alginate into a bit smaller pieces so they can get better absorption. And it's also in capsules, which a lot of people like. Now, here's a crazy coincidence. Let's do oops, hold on. Oh, geez. Everything's falling down right now. Okay. I pulled my charger out of the wall and my mobile hotspot phone just fell on the floor. And yeah, anyway. Okay, sodium alginate. Let's go and look this up. More evidence of alginate grabbing onto nickel. Okay, so let me zoom in a bit on this. I'm not really going to spend too much time on this paper because the title says enough. Rapid relief of GERD symptoms with sodium alginate antacid suspension, an Indian real-world evidence study. Alginates grab onto nickel in your digestive system. That is what they do. You can go and look up more here. I'll go and find another paper on this. Let's see. We'll find multiple papers. Yeah, we'll just hit on them real quick just so you guys can see the pattern. So we got this one, the rapid relief of GERD symptoms with sodium alginate. And then we have, oh, am I human? Yes, I am. Alginate therapy is effective treatment for GERD symptoms, a systematic review and meta-analysis. Let's keep going. An evaluation of the anti-reflux properties of sodium alginate by means of combined multi-channel intraluminal impedance and pH metry, as in acid-base, acid-alkaline. Okay, so this is what they try to make up. Alginate-based preparations act as a mechanical anti-reflux barrier. So what the story is that they tell everybody, because remember, they cannot admit toxicity. They will not admit toxicity. What they say, they make up a story that the sodium alginate forms a raft in your digestive system, and it blocks the reflux from coming up into your esophagus. maybe there is alginate floating at the top of your stomach, but that could happen with pectin. That could happen with any kind of soluble fiber once it gels. But why does sodium alginate work so well on GERD and reflux? Because sodium alginate grabs onto the nickel that is the root cause of it. The whole raft thing is just so they can make up some story so they don't have to talk about why so many people have GERD and H. pylori and ulcers, and it's all nickel. So sodium alginate, does it, if you want to take more, or if you want to, I don't know if it's going to work as a topical, honestly, in terms of a slime body wash. It may be fun or kind of entertaining, and it may grab some stuff out of your skin. If you were having skin issues, that might be more of an indicator to use it in that area. But sodium alginate really gels well, and it really seems to have an affinity for nickel, and that's what those GERD studies are showing us. But the sodium alginate stays in your gut, and the pectisol goes into your bloodstream. I think the reason why, I'm positive the reason why Econugenics, who makes the pectisol and the Pecticlear, why they don't make Pecticlear as a powder is because it will gel, and people are, you guys generally listening to this are a different breed of people. And you don't mind if apple pectin gels in the glass, or if sodium alginate gels in the glass, or if you get a literal flush from taking flush niacin. You guys have a bit more understanding and acceptance of literal chemical reactions happening in the real world and in our bodies. Most normies and NPCs, wait, I put this powder in water and the water got all thick. I want to return this. Like, this is literally the level of people that we have today. I took flush niacin and I flushed. Oh my gosh, I had an allergic reaction. I want to return this. Like, there's a reason we're cooked. Humanity, the average level of intelligence has decreased so much. I was listening to a certain recording about the New Order of Barbarians by a guy named Richard Day. If you want to go searching for that audio, you can. But it's pretty, I only listened to about half of it because it's very depressing. It was about a guy giving a speech to a group of MDs back in 1969. And he was literally laying out all the evil things that we see happening since then. And he was recalling it in 1988. So he listened to it in 1969. He recalled it in 1988 on tape. And then they were seeing the changes then. And now we've seen nearly all of them that he talked about, the guy talked about, coming to fruition. So that was pretty, like I said, I only listened to about half of it because I was like, I already know all this stuff, and it's just depressing to hear that it's been around this long and nobody did anything about it. Anyway. Okay, let me answer that question. Vedant, it's not that Pecticlear is milder on the body than Pexol. No, this is a misunderstanding. This is a misconception. Okay. What happens during any type of detox? Well, first of all, nickel accumulates in two main places first in the body. One is in the skin, and one is the gut. Okay, that's like why GERD is nickel related. GERD is, I believe, literally nickel coming out of the gut into the lumen of the gut, the open space of the gut. and then irritating. It's like when the nickel comes out of storage, then it irritates whatever part of the body it came out of. Okay? So let's say during GERD, you unleash, your body unleashes a bunch of nickel into the lumen of the stomach, into the open area of the stomach. Okay, so it was in the tissues of the stomach, and then it goes into the contents of the stomach, where it's irritating everything. So sodium alginate goes into the gut, the stomach, and it absorbs, adsorbs, doesn't really matter, the nickel. And so the nickel stops irritating everything and causing problems. And then what happens is that nickel is stuck, bound well in the alginate, and then you poop it out. Why is this important? This is important. The nickel thing is important in exactly the same way as bile. We want to, if the best way we can detox the gut is to poop it out, right? We want to poop it out. If we don't poop it out, we reabsorb it and it goes right back up to the liver. Okay, so why does Pectaclear reduce symptoms so much more than Pectisol does? Because if you're detoxing nickel and some of it is going in your bile into your gut, or you're literally detoxing your gut cells into your gut, you're going to reabsorb some of that. What is the Pectaclear and the alginate in the Pectaclear particularly good at grabbing in the gut? It grabs onto the nickel. If the alginate grabs onto the nickel, does it get reabsorbed? Can it be reabsorbed? No. So it is making sure that whatever is being stirred up is making it out. The part that's in your gut is making it out in your poop. That's why. So it's not that Pectaclear is milder. It's that Pectaclear makes sure the full job gets done. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So let's keep going. Artist here says live is awesome. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone in chat. Just say hi to everybody. Oh, Joe said it's Joe. It's HOMI. Home is Chef Cookware should arrive any day now. I've been using it, and I just want to tell you guys, try to do the seasoning at least once. But what I will tell you about those Home is Chef pans, if you want them to stay looking nice, and you're kind of like the type who's like, I'm going to wash them with soap and a sponge, I don't care. If you want to do the fancier washing and whatever, that's fine, do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wash the pans with the rest of the stuff in my sink. There's only so much I'm going to do. But if you wash off the Home is Chef pans right after or soon after you use them, stuff comes off very easily. Like almost non-stick easily. If you leave it on there, the pans are not going to, if you're the type who just leaves the pans on the stove for days before you finally get to them, they're going to get some stains or whatever you want to call it on them. They're still fine. They just don't look as purty. Okay? But yeah. Okay. Oh, see, now Joe, it just restarted all my chats again. I don't know, man. Let me open up the... I don't know if I can open up the chat now. Okay, Joe is asking, what about the heating element in the hot water, in like the water, the kettles, the hot water kettles or the hot water heaters? Probably either aluminum or stainless steel with nickel. Okay, so what, some of those kettles, they have, the bottom of them is stainless steel in contact with the water. And some of them have glass, like the glass is continuous and the glass is on top of the heating element. I would really try to get the one where the water is in glass completely and not touching whatever the stainless steel stuff is on the bottom. I don't want to make people go and replace their electric kettles or whatever. However, if you're trying to, I mean, most of us leave the water in the kettle in between. So we're leaving the water in that kettle for who knows how long before we heat it up. But even if you use it every day, you've just left water in there for 24 hours at minimum, and it's soaking up nickel. LeBrad. So just you can look up like nickel-free electric kettles, and just, or you can go on like Reddit and search there, even though Reddit's full of mostly crazy whiny people. Reddit won't talk about me at all. If you start talking about me on Reddit, they will kick you out, which just goes to show how controlled Reddit is. Okay, LeBrad Pass said, hi, all, can't wait to catch up later. Just started Pectaclear. Awesome. Let's see. Yeah, Archon of J-Day, it's Homie Chef. No, and then he said Homie Chef, Homie Chef. No, it's not this. There's no E in it. It's HOMICHEF. There you go. Okay, Beth says, I may have asked already, but would potassium malate push detox? I've backed out of glutamates and most niacin with this most recent dumping. Beth, I know you had a rough time the past couple days. Like I said at the start of the episode, there was definitely something going on. I mean, I'm up in northern Idaho, and I've never heard, I don't think I'd ever heard a siren here until 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden there's sirens everywhere. And I'm going, something is definitely going on. So I've just been seeing a lot of people having a lot of trouble in their interpersonal relationships. So the date today is 5/26. So we're May 26th. So if you've been noticing, you as a person, not just Beth, but anybody out there, if you've been having a lot of trouble with your mood or with interpersonal relationships, and you're seeing other people who are not doing the low nickel diet having lots of troubles with interpersonal relationships or health, there's stuff going on right now. Maybe it's space weather, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of space weather evidence. Do I think, if they cranked up the EMF on us, are they going to tell us? No, they're not going to tell us. But is it going to affect everybody? Sure. Are there frequencies out there that we don't know about? Of course there are. If we believe that we are heading towards the end of days, the energetics is going to get weirder and weirder and stronger, whether it is man-made or whether it is whatever you want to call up above us and down below us. So that's what we got. Okay, JH added, it has been shown that people with an allergic reaction to palladium also react to nickel. Well, I think I'm thinking that nickel is the main crux of it all. It's the one that we're exposed to the most. And I think that by working on nickel, like I'm not here trying to make people are out there they're going, oh, now we got to avoid nickel. Now we got to avoid chromium. Now we got to avoid this. And I go, okay, you're not going to have anything left to cook with, and you're not going to have anything left to eat. And what we have always tried to do is hit on the biggest rocks, the biggest toxins. We as humans are designed to detox. We can detox a lot of stuff. We don't need to focus on every single little toxin. We need to focus on the big ones that are really, when you guys see how nickel interferes with detox, which will probably be, we'll probably do the nickel and pathogens and bacteria and yeast and all that this coming week. And then we'll do nickel and how it affects the detox pathways the week after that. And when you see the detox pathways, you will understand why when you take nickel out, the detox starts aggressively. Because your body's just cleaning up all the waste. Oh, wait, Gem Fairy's here. Hi, Gem Fairy. Hi, Kelsey. Yeah, Kelsey was Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan's tapes on Dr. Richard Day's The Order of the New Order of the Barbarians speech. Yeah, it was, it's one of those things that like folks, for your own mental health, if you've been involved in the theory world for a long time and you know a lot of these things, if you constantly marinate yourself in people just repeating this stuff over and over and over and over again, you're going to make yourself miserable and you're going to make yourself sick. There was a time when I was doing this. And, you know, everybody's got their announcements. Oh, make sure to fill up your gas tank because this is going to happen this week. And make sure, and you got the guys on YouTube who are like, the rapture's happening this week. And everybody's just trying to get views and or trying to be the lucky one who nailed it. And they're all wrong every time. Still waiting for the massive EMP, what I forget what they call it. And all the EMP and the solar flares and the, you know, the rapture and the shutdown of the entire economy. And once you understand LYLL, you can understand why they would keep doing these cycles over and over, because they get you to get ramped up every time. Instagram is literal brain rot poison. I don't care what you use it for. They are getting you somehow. It's just the worst of them. It's not that all the other ones aren't doing it. It's just Instagram is absolutely the most pervasive, degenerate, sneaky, devious brain rot out there. Okay, Just Andy says, I have to say alginate slime body wash makes my skin feel clean and smooth once I washed it off, plus it's cheap. Well, if you want to give your recipe, Just Andy, feel free. Okay, Beth said, I'm loving my glassware, but I had to go to the end of the earth for it, and the sellers know the value, LOL. Yeah, it's like if they don't make it much anymore, it may have been worth quite a bit. Fernando asked, am I going to see the new Odyssey movie? I don't know which. I'm not familiar. I don't follow movies anymore at all. I don't know which one you're referring to, Fernando. I might. My son wants to go see the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie with his buddies, and I'm like, he's kind of excited because there's so few movies. I mean, imagine being a 15-year-old. I can't imagine back when I was a kid being 15 years old and being like, all the movies suck and are not worth seeing. But that's the way my son is these days, which I'm really proud of. And still, I'm like, I understand that movies are programming, always have, but still, you know, it's nice to go watch a good movie once in a while. And my son is growing up going, the movies suck, Dad. He's like, I don't even want to go see any of them. So, yeah. Brady says, I've noticed that since being low nickel that I flush on a much lower dose of niacin than before. Is this a good sign? Gem Fairy says, I've also noticed this. I've noticed at different points of the low nickel diet that I've felt like I flushed a lot less, and I felt like I flushed more easily. So I don't know. It's probably wherever the nickel is detoxing from more at the time. If you've got more nickel in your skin that's coming out, then you'll flush more there. And if you're detoxing another part of your body more at that time, then you'll flush more in that other, or you'll flush more in the other part, but you won't feel that. Oh, Heather Parker says, I use my Home Chef pot to boil water. Who needs a kettle anyway? Yeah, I really like the electric kettles because it's the old set it and forget it. You just hit the button and then come back when it's done, and you don't boil off all the water, or like I get distracted very easily. All of a sudden, somebody texts me with something I got to do, and then I go and do that, and then I forget what I was doing. So I like the kettle because I can just leave it. Kelsey was adding, she's not going to use her electric kettle again until she can do the DMG. That's DMG nickel swipe test, or my new water nickel level test kits on its water. You guys, this is really, really very, very important. If you type in DMG almost anywhere on the internet, it's gonna give you dimethylglycine. Glycine with an N. So it's going to give you dimethylglycine. Okay, the DMG test that Kelsey's referring to is dimethylglyoxime. Here, I'll say, here, I'll type it to Joe so he can send it to everybody. Hold on. Okay, there you go, Joe. So they are different compounds, and if you think that the easy stuff that you can buy from like bulk supplements or whatever, the typical DMG on the internet is what we're talking about, we're not. And I don't know what you're going to do with it, but it's going to be the wrong thing. So DMG is dimethylglyoxime. Okay, Vedant said, thanks for the explanation, Dr. Smith. I get the toxic nickel in the stomach symptoms all the time. Is it reasonable to take the sodium alginate powder as a standalone supplement? Yes, that is totally fine. If you wanted to replace your psyllium with the sodium alginate or the organic apple pectin, let me just find the organic apple pectin. But I do think that the sodium alginate is better at grabbing onto the nickel than the pectin is. Pectin's better to probably help you poop. But the, let me see. Why am I not finding it? Anyway. There it is. Okay. Joe, I'll send you this link. So this is, you guys can find this on Amazon. Joe can post the link in the live chat. Just search for certified organic apple pectin. If you want organic, if you want something different, that's fine. But I mean, for 4 ounce, a quarter pound of it, $13. And this does gel in water from what I've heard. So it doesn't need the extra sugars. So when you're looking at that thing on the screen, what Joe put, DMG dimethylglycine is the supplement, and the second one, dimethylglyoxime, is the nickel test. So don't get those confused. And no, dimethylglyoxime with an M, the nickel test, is not sold as a supplement. It's sold by chemical supply companies. or like chemistry supply companies. Okay, so back to Vedant's question. Yes, Vedant, people use the sodium alginate as a standalone supplement for GERD all the time. You could do Pectaclear and Pectasol and sodium alginate. You can mix and match these to work however you want. But yes, I would definitely say the other thing, Vedant, is that zeolite is very helpful for the stomach symptoms. So if you're getting gut symptoms, our zeolite with a Y, you can pop a scoop of that in water down, and that can be really helpful. You could do that plus sodium alginate to grab onto stuff together. The stomach symptoms are some of the first to go away generally, because that's where you dump from first. But so just so you guys know, if you get GERD as part of the low nickel diet, that's the nickel coming out. If you get a low appetite during the low nickel diet, that's the nickel coming out. If you get nauseous, that's the nickel coming out. It is the highest in your gut tissues because that's where you eat it. So that's where it accumulates. Okay. Okay, just Andy says, I just use about 1/5 teaspoon of alginate. I'm guessing, so 1/5 teaspoon of alginate in some water. Is that, are you just, you're saying, I hope it's pure enough, it's pretty thoroughly dilute by the time it goes down the sink? So you're mixing just 1/5 of a teaspoon of alginate with some water, I'm guessing, just Andy, is that right? And then you're rubbing that slime on your hands or your body, and you like the way it feels so far? I got no problem with that. Okay, he says he leaves it on for about 4 minutes before he washes it away. Sounds fine. Aw. Hi, Kelsey. Matthews Jones says, hey, Garrett, good morning from, I'm assuming is that Austria or Australia? Either way. Hello. Okay, JH said, thanks. I mentioned palladium as nickel is frequently found alongside palladium in nature. Yes, copper and nickel are frequently found together. It's pretty nasty stuff. This phosphate mining, especially where they get all the phosphates for the fertilizers, there's nickel all over that place. Oh yeah, Kelsey was saying the 3 days of darkness that people keep waiting for. When's the 3 days of darkness going to happen? When do we get to stop trusting the plan? Oh God. Anyway. So Matthew Jones says, just thought of this Crestor 10 milligrams cholesterol meds. How bad is it? My mother is on it. Well, I would bet here. Let's go do a quick search. Let's go do alginate cholesterol. PubMed. Okay, that didn't take very long. So, alginate oligosaccharides, that's polysaccharide, improves lipid metabolism and inflammation by modulating gut microbiota in high-fat diet-fed mice. So, alginate acts as a prebiotic to your gut bacteria. It acts as basically a soluble fiber-ish. And what did they have here? Alginate oligosaccharide treatment improved lipid metabolism, such as reducing levels of triglyceride and low-density lipoprotein, LDL, the bad cholesterol, and inhibiting expression of lipogenesis genes. It reduced the levels of fasting blood glucose and increased the levels of serum insulin. Okay, so, and we got, it alleviates the metabolic metrics induced by a high-fat diet, and it helps normalize or regulate the gut biome. Okay, so pretty simply, sodium alginate, it's fine to use as a fiber, as a Now, what's the commonality? So I know Kelsey's going to mention flush niacin. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could do for your mom instead of Crestor. How bad is it? I mean, I'll put it this way. My mom tried the doctors. My mom used to be very influenceable by doctors, and she would go into her doctor every year for her physical, and they'd say, "Oh, your cholesterol is too high." Her total was like 280, and you need to get on a statin. And back then it was Lipitor, right? So they put her on Lipitor, and she gets leg pain and weakness within like 2 days every time she took it. And one of the times she went back to the doctor, who put her on it again, even after she told him, she said, I don't want to take this because every time I get the leg pain and the leg weakness in like 2 days. And the doctor, you know what the doctor said to her? He said, well, that's not possible. It takes at least 2 weeks for that symptom to show up. Is that not the stupidest thing? Oh, your symptom came too quickly. It couldn't have been from the drug. Why are doctors such a joke these days? So anyway, I would suggest, so any of the things that we use that are binders, generally you could find research on any of the things that we use that are binders reducing cholesterol levels. Charcoal has research on it reducing cholesterol levels. I'm pretty positive that zeolite has research on it reducing cholesterol levels. We could probably, I think there's research on pectisol and apple pectin reducing cholesterol levels. We just saw research on alginate reducing cholesterol levels. High cholesterol levels are a toxicity marker. So if your mom is taking Crestor to treat high cholesterol levels, she is literally inhibiting detox in her liver and taking a pharmaceutical poison to do so. And then there's the flush niacin. Flush niacin is the most effective cholesterol drug ever. And you need flush niacin to make NAD to literally run detox pathways in your body. So flush niacin increases and gives your detox pathways the fuel they need to run, and then we see cholesterol go down. And the binders literally grab toxins out of your gut, so you poop them out, so you become less toxic, and then your body makes less cholesterol, because cholesterol is really an indirect marker of toxicity in the body. Low cholesterol in a sick person is bad. But high cholesterol is think of it this way: cholesterol and body fat, okay? People with unearned low cholesterol and underweight are in a worse condition than people who are overweight with high cholesterol. Does that mean either of those situations is good? No. I'm telling you, the situation is worse, more dire in people with unearned low cholesterol, as in they didn't detox to get low cholesterol. Their liver's just not making it, and who are underweight or who are underweight than people who are overweight. That's where they do the studies, and they're like, being overweight and having high cholesterol is good for you. And it's like, no, it's just not as bad for you. And pretty much they're going to say everybody's got high cholesterol. And so all of a sudden everybody's okay when everybody's toxic. So there's that. So Duke Nukem asks, any recommendations on a good brand for sodium alginate? I saw Modernist Pantry has food grade sodium alginate. I think food grade would be the minimum to do. Yeah, I would definitely do food grade. Although Modernist Pantry, I think, was the one who tried to say that they had either non-GMO MSG or organic MSG, and it's not true on their own Amazon page. So I don't know that everything modern. That has made me a little suspicious of Modernist Pantry's claims on things. So just saying, you may want to investigate the food grade claim by Modernist Pantry. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Oh, wow. So I won't put the spoiler up there. Archon of J-Day says he spoils he does a spoiler on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So Lucas says, man, they destroyed all the best franchises like Star Wars, which used to inspire people how to be compassionate and forgiving, making it nuanced, gray, modern, whatever, soulless political brain rot. It's literally the GOY slop. Okay, go look up, what is it called? The Four Olds. Oh, wait, let me find them. Let me find them. Here. There is a reason why they are destroying old franchises. And it's a playbook that has been used before. These are the four olds. Old ideas, old customs, old culture, old habits. The communists who rose up in the mid-20th century worked to eliminate these four olds in China. This is how you break a population. You eliminate their ties to their roots. You eliminate the four olds. A very liberalistic thing to do would be to destroy anything old. And everything has to be new and have no grounding in anything. That's how this was in that audio I mentioned earlier. Basically, he was describing how they were doing this. And that was their goal, to make people used to change. They want you to expect change to happen and not have any solid feeling of normalcy, so that they could pretty much change something one day and change it the next day. And you go, why? And they go, because we changed it. It's on purpose. Don't think it's an accident. Nothing coming out of entertainment is an accident. Oh man, just Andy. Yeah, you could probably do well to do the slime wash. He says, I'm sick and tired of working in factory and handling tin solder and slimy flux residue. Oh man. Well, at least the good news is that you would be trying to protect yourself as much as possible. The bad news is that you're getting exposed, but at least you're working on it. Okay. Just going down. Kelsey, can you find me that tonsil study? Or maybe I'll go check my Telegram. I'll see if I can find it. Oh wait, Joe, are there super chats? Am I missing your? Why is that not opening? Well, Kelsey, if you can find that link, that would be great. Yeah, no more super chats, everybody. Let me go check and see if I missed any super chats that Joe sent me, because I might have missed them. No super chats. Okay, great. Yeah, so no more super chats. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon here. Let me see if I can find the paper, unless Kelsey found it. Awareness through movement says, I have burning acid in my nerves on this diet. Is that a sign of a backup? It means you have nickel in your nerves that's coming out. I would highly suggest you watch my episode on the nickel hair, blood, and urine tests, and where I talk about Pectaclear, and you get on some Pectaclear ASAP. If you're just doing the diet naked, as I call it, it's going to suck, especially if you have nickel coming out of your nerves. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, Kathleen Jenner says, I mix Pectasol with sodium alginate for an additional dose to my 3 Pectaclear doses. It just kind of balls up in water. No big deal. I just drink it fast. Well, Kathleen, you're more hardcore than most NPC Americans. So most NPC Americans are like, oh, it balled up. Oh, this is gross. Oh, God, I don't want to do it. Oh. My kids look at my detox sludge and they're like, Dad, how do you drink that? And I'm like, it doesn't taste like anything. I just drink it. Like, people are such wusses these days. They're absolute wusses. And I'm not saying to do things that hurt you or that are painful. I'm saying that even when there are good things to do, people are absolute babies these days. It's embarrassing. So yeah, the balling up for you and I, Kathleen, like if we were like, so it balled up a little bit. You just swallow it. It's kind of like globs, like big deal. But other people, in terms of a large scale product development, people won't deal with that at all. They'll be like, it balled up in my water. I don't want to drink this. Can I get a refund? I don't like it. Or like just Andy doing his alginate slime. It feels gross. Oh my goodness, it feels so gross. So, okay, JG Hemcrete just was talking about the relationships. He says, I'm a bit behind in the stream, but yes, Doc, there's lots of things messing with both my and my family's relationships right now. Maybe extra EMF, but in my opinion, probably demons that need rebuking. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah. Soil Food Web Warrior says, my tonsils have become inflamed and swollen recently, maybe 2 weeks now into the low nickel diet. Not that big of a deal yet. Okay, so now I'm going to go find the tonsil paper. This is going to be the last thing I go over. Joe, if Kelsey posts the tonsil paper, just let me know. Let me see. I'm going to go do a search for some of the wording of the paper and see if I can find it that way. I think I got it. Okay, yes. So thank you for the paper, Kelsey. I'll share this, and this will be the last thing we go over today. Okay, the American Journal of Industrial Medicine. Nickel concentrations in human tissues and gallbladder bile were determined by analysis of post-mortem, so after they had died, specimens from 10 consecutive autopsies of adult persons. Yep. Pay attention here. For those of you who have thyroid and adrenal issues, we've probably solved that problem too. In decreasing order of mean nickel concentrations, so that means the highest one is first. Lung, thyroid, adrenals. Gosh, I have hypothyroidism. Gosh, I have adrenal fatigue. Oh gosh. They're full of nickel, like literally full of nickel. Then kidneys, then heart, liver, brain, spleen, and pancreas. 5 specimens of gallbladder bile. It was 2.3 times or plus or minus 0.8 micrograms per liter. Let's look at what they said. These data furnish reference values for use in evaluating tissue nickel concentrations in persons with occupational exposures to nickel. They provide the first demonstration that nickel concentrations in thyroid and adrenal glands are approximately equal to those in the lung and are higher than in other organs, and suggest that biliary excretion may be a significant route for elimination of nickel in humans when all the other papers say that bile is not a route of excretion. So 87. Why isn't anybody talking about this? Oh, I don't think this isn't the tonsils one, is it? Kelsey, this is not the tonsil. Let me go back and see what she had there. Oh gosh, it's not letting me copy the file name. Let me see if I can get it this way. Hold on, one more try. See if we can get it. Live searching. Oh, stop. Sorry, I know it's dead air right now, but I'm just trying to find this one paper when it shows how much nickel is in the tonsils. And what do you know, my son, we eventually got his tonsils out because I got them better for a bit, but they swelled back up again. And I just decided that back then I was like, I wasn't going to be able to keep up with it. And so we got them removed. And I want you to think about this, folks. If you're out there trying to figure out tonsils and adenoids for your children, I'm not going to be able to find this paper. Kelsey, maybe we'll do this on the next episode or future. Okay. This is really important, and this is kind of prioritizing health things. Okay, it is extremely, extremely, extremely important that you or your children breathe properly. Right? Breathing is of utmost importance. You don't want to be a mouth breather, and you don't want to be getting apnea and snoring and all this stuff. I want you to understand all this stuff may be connected to nickel, and fixing the nickel problem in an adult may fix all of this. The problem is, and I'm just going to be honest as a father, is that children are literal pains in the ass in terms of treatment. Just like I was saying earlier, they're like, ew, I don't like that. I don't want to take it. You can be like, you're going to have to get surgery if you don't take the Pectaclear or whatever. And they'll be like, I don't like it. It's gooey. It's me. And you're like, okay, well, then you're going to have to go get surgery because they need to breathe. They literally need to breathe. The less they are breathing, the less oxygenated they are getting, the sicker they are getting. Okay, so if you want to take them to Europe and go have their tonsils frozen or whatever, I mean, go ahead. Do whatever you need to do. Is freezing tonsils and adenoids or whatever they're doing in Europe or getting their tonsils out, like, is it... My son's doing quite well now, other than the fact I got him braces. He's doing really well. And I used to listen to him breathing through his mouth at night because he was stuffy and he had gigantic tonsils and adenoids. And like I said, I treated him for a while. I got him back down and we postponed the surgery. But then I was too lazy to keep up with it. And I didn't feel like I was dealing with the cause because I didn't know the cause back then. And so we had the surgery on him and he's doing fine now. Humans can exist without parts. We are able to lose parts and still function. It's not optimal. I'm not going to say it's optimal, but you only get to develop once. And not breathing well during development would be a bad thing. So I'm saying this both for my history and for Kelsey's kids and for anyone else out there who is torn about getting tonsils and adenoid surgery when, let's say, you have kids who are a challenge or difficult to get them to do what they need to do. Now that you might know what to do from listening to this, but you can't get them to do it, I honestly don't think, I think it's better to be breathing than to worry about some little immune tissue in the top of your throat. I am a practical man. Too many people out there are into the word optimal and optimization and bio-crapping and all that stuff. Biohacking is against the body's nature, by the way. So you will never hear me talk about biohacking. Biohacking means people are lazy and they're trying to do stuff to get around doing the right thing. That's exactly what biohacking means to me. So, but yeah, so he was saying his tonsils became inflamed and swollen recently. That's likely nickel coming out of your tonsils. It should go down. You may want to, you could do something like gargling with the Pectisol. You could gargle with sodium alginate that's kind of very diluted, I guess, or apple pectin. Yeah. Okay. Kelsey said her son had some serious tonsil enlargement after removing some of his nickel foods like organic peanut butter. Yeah, this is the root cause. This is it, folks. So if you had to have your tonsils out as a kid, you're nickel toxic. You have been since then, at the very least. Oh, Kelsey also took out almond butter. Yes. Okay, I'm going to answer this question. Kelsey's not here, but Brady Neeson asks, how much and how often for niacin? I've heard you say you don't underestimate the effects of 25 milligrams, but is there a goal to reach? No. There is not a goal to reach. That is like optimal type thinking, which is not, it doesn't exist. So the research shows that like 25 milligrams of flesh niacin can and does do amazing things. So we know that. We know that just that little bit of boost of fuel to run your body's detox systems does a lot. Now, in the research, if somebody wanted to, like, okay, so let's go over doses. High-end doses for schizophrenia is like 3 grams, 3,000 milligrams to 5,000 milligrams a day. They literally worked on getting schizophrenia to go away with doses like that. Okay? So is that optimal or is that necessary for relatively normal, just like unwell people? Probably not. The cholesterol doses, the typical doses of the sustained release pharmaceutical stuff for cholesterol treatment was about 1,500 milligrams a day. Okay. So does somebody have to take that much to lower their cholesterol? Not at all. Might they get faster results if somebody had to do a blood test for life insurance and their cholesterol was high and they want to hammer the flush niacin for a specific purpose? Sure, great. Or let's say like those drug tests that you can buy at the smoke shop that are full of flush niacin. That is the main ingredient in them that does the work, just so you know. The drug test urine kits, the main ingredient that does the work in those is the flush niacin. All the other B vitamins in there are like a joke It's the flush niacin that does the work. I was reading a story online. I think it was on Reddit, but they were saying that a guy on one of the athletic teams in a high school, he smoked a bunch of weed, and the high school was trying to catch the drug users like this guy. And so they started instituting drug tests every week. And this guy knew about flush niacin, and he would just do flush niacin the day before the test or whatever, just a high dose. And he never got nailed on the test. And then other people started learning about it, and they started doing it. And eventually the school gave up on testing them because they couldn't catch anybody, because the niacin de-drugged their urine so well. Because all they got to do is change the structure of the cannabinoid metabolites so it's not what they look for in the urine. That's all they have. That's the thing about testing, like, right? So when they do vitamin A testing, if they only test for retinol and they don't test for retinaldehyde or retinoic acid, there can literally still be vitamin A in that stuff, but they're not seeing it because they're not testing it. So that's the limitations of chemistry and science and nutritional science. And this is where they could accidentally miss something, or where they could purposely miss something. Like in the rat chow casein, where they say it's vitamin free, and all they did was treat it with heat and alcohol. And they're like, oh yeah, all the retinol's out of it, but who knows how much retinaldehyde and retinoic acid is still here. Oh man. Okay, well, I guess I'm not doing the inner circle today then if I forgot to post it. Sarah Wilson, we're gonna wrap this up right here. Sarah Wilson says, is olive oil good for liver detoxing? Thank you. Oils don't detox anything. This is a very important concept. Oils do not detox anything. If you could find me research showing that oils detox, that they literally increase the excretion of toxins from the body, I would love to see it. What oils are very good at doing is binding toxins and storing them in your liver by fatty acid esters. So the body will take fat soluble, aka fat storable toxins, and bind them to fatty acid esters, and that is how we store them. So if anything, like, you've heard of fat soluble toxins, right? Just think of them as fat storable toxins. So if you're eating tallow, and we know that cows, when they encounter fat soluble toxins in their environment, store them in their fat. When you are eating animal fat, you are literally eating animal fat storable toxin tissue. We store fat soluble toxins in fat, with fat, bound to fat. So if anything, increased fats in the diet would tend to make us more toxic. They do not detox anything. Now, I'm not saying people have to eat no fat, but I am saying that people who are trying to eat tons of fat, oh, and then their gallbladder goes bad, or there's a reason for it. So no, we do not push fats with any idea of detox, because there's no logic that they detox anything, and there's no evidence that I know of that they detox anything. So, okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. Let me get. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be an inner circle today, Kathleen, because I didn't post anything, so people didn't get to post their questions. Oh man. Anyway, it was a heck of a week. So, yeah, let me get Joe, where do I find these again? Where was it? It was under, oh man.
Over on the right, there's the text.
Oh, that's okay. Great. Got it. Sorry, I was confusing that with another online program. Okay, so here we go. Wait, why didn't it show it? Hold on.
You may have to push it twice, a second time, because one
No, I
toggles
gotta
it on.
I gotta take off the chat that is highlighted.
Gotcha. Yes, that's it.
I could see it.
I'll get the chat. You go to the text.
There we go. Okay, there it is. Got it. Okay, so if you're watching this, you're probably watching this here on YouTube. This is our YouTube channel, youtube.com/nutrition detective. This is where if you want to see the live streams, you want to hit the live tab. If you want to see the videos we've done, which is sometimes some of the live streams that we've had to repost because we had to edit them because we said naughty things, that you'll find on the videos tab. So anyway, that's this. Thank you all for joining us here today. And then now we've got, there's my Twitter if you ever want to find that. If you want to find the unedited videos and the one video that was taken down permanently from our channel on YouTube, then you can go to Rumble, and that is where you can find us on Rumble. There's us on Facebook, the.real nutrition detective. Then we've got, let's see, that's our Instagram. If you want to find the same address, like I said, Instagram is brain rot poison. So if you don't find, if you're gonna be on Instagram anyway, subscribe. But if you're not, then I commend that too. Our main website, nutritiondetective.com. This is where you can find our consultations with Nathan and Kelsey, where we do the blood and hair testing. You can order other testing. We have our line of supplements there to help with this stuff, and I'm working on getting more stuff. We're working on getting better international shipping rates and better shipping rates for everybody. And we should be, Julie will be back in the office shipping everything to you guys within, I think, the next day or two. I forget, but we took a Memorial Day break. So if you are waiting on things to be shipped, we tried to let everybody know through our newsletter and through my last live stream. Julie took a break and she's shipping out stuff when she gets back, which, like I said, is a day or two. I forget which one. Anyway, okay, so then we have, if you want to watch the videos on, like, if you were confused about the nickel and the bile and all that stuff and the recirculation, you'd want to watch the video series that I did with Beth on toxic bile paradigm. We used to call it toxic bile theory. That is episodes 231 through 233. And that's where we cover all of that in great detail. And yes, as you saw earlier in papers we went over here, nickel is stored in the liver. And if things are stored in the liver, they come out through the bile. And that is a major route of detox. Or if you're not getting rid of it well, you're reabsorbing it. And that is a big cause of your health issues. If you want to get into the Love Your Liver program, this is my life's work. This is a private network where the whole Love Your Liver program is located. And there's also, you can talk with others who are on this same journey with you, in a place where we don't tolerate trolls and nasty people who just want to cause trouble, or as they say, they just want to watch the world burn. They can go somewhere else and continue suffering while they talk badly about everybody else. Those people are just not going to get help. If you wanted to sign up for our email newsletter, this is the website to go to. It's also on our main website, but madnessofmodernnutrition.com is how you can sign up and get, I think, the PDF of the emails. Well, it used to be emails. Now I believe it's a PDF. So there's that. If you wanted to look into our supplements, this is our basic shop. However, if you are a member of the Love Your Liver program, you get access to the VIP store where you get automatic discounts on all the supplements we sell. Since I talked about it earlier in the show, the Homa Chef, HOMI Chef, the nickel-free cookware, if you want to do that, that's not an affiliate link. If you saw me highlighting studies during this show, which I did, if you wanted to find the abstracts and the highlights of stuff I've covered, you can go to that link. And what you do is you just type in, those are all the studies that I've highlighted. So if you go on that page and you type in nickel, you will find every single paper that had the word nickel in the stuff I highlighted. So yeah, that's the last one I did about the adrenals and the thyroid. So you can go and check that out. And there's all those papers. Let's see. Well, let's just cover a couple of things I wanted to go over. Well, that's it. That's enough. That's enough. I'm done. Okay. So let me find that. We're going to wrap it up now. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the Nutrition Detective around these here YouTube parts. And this was, Joe, I don't know if you have that. This is episode number 252, where I was just going over some more interesting nickel toxicity papers. And we did a testimonial of restless leg syndrome and gallbladder. And we did some live chat Q&A. So I will be back with the pathogens, how pathogens love nickel, next week. And then we'll hit on how nickel slows down basically all of your detox systems the week after that. So almost a promise, not quite promising because life happens, but that's pretty much when I say I plan to do something, you can be pretty sure I'm going to do it. I just had to push it back a week. So hope you all enjoyed that. I will see you all next week. Have a good week.